30 years ago. Time flies, man. But like again, going in circles. But let me share with you something that was sort of an offset of the LA riots that I was a part of. All right. There's an article that I'm going to show you right now. Here it is.
Okay, so this here was an article, a publication for the West Side of Los Angeles, and it was released August 21st, 1992. Okay, so not long after the riots. And I am not featured in the photograph that you see in the article. I'm just going to read some paragraphs here. I'm kind of going to jump around this article. And before I start reading, I want to preface this by saying that I am appreciative of this opportunity that I received back then. Okay. All right, so let's check it out. So here we go. Ironically, the summer jobs program in Westwood Village probably wouldn't have come about if it hadn't been for the riots. The Westwood property owners and merchants were interested in doing something to help after watching the city go up in flames, said organizer Peggy Kidwell. The riots also prompted the federal government to more than double funding for the city's summer youth employment program from $12 million to $29 million. The Westwood Village program was among many new opportunities that were created by the increased funding. All right, I'm going to jump around here to another paragraph. Kidwell, who worked as a psychologist in prisons and jails in Kentucky, said she hopes the program can help ease the tensions between the affluent West Side and the depressed inner city. In past years, the village has been a target of looting and vandalism by kids out for a movie and a night on the town. I wonder how true that was. All right, jumping over. Now, this is a very important section of the article, okay? So pay attention. Many of the youths had barely ventured out of their neighborhoods before the summer jobs program. Being in Westwood was a surreal experience for them. Many commented that they couldn't understand why they were sweeping up streets that were already clean, at least a lot cleaner than their own. A few confessed that they thought they should have stayed in their own neighborhoods ravaged by the riots.
I remember that being the discussion with members of the staff. We were constantly having that conversation about cleaning the alleys of Westwood, the sidewalks of Westwood. There were times where I would be sweeping and I'm like, there's no dirt here. Why aren't we cleaning the areas in South Central? We were, and we were like young kids. We were young teenagers, 16, 17, 18, 19, having this conversation because we knew what areas needed fixing. Now, the article also talks about how other kids would be sent to these areas, but I don't know how much impact that actually created, but I just wanted to share with you this. And, I've kept this article for years and I do have some photos. This was my first job. And here's some photos of me and the crew. Now, one thing you're going to notice in these pictures is I am in the left side of the picture and I'm wearing sunglasses. Terminator 2 came out a year before this, 1991. And this was my first year in high school. And I was a huge Terminator 2 enthusiast or a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger enthusiast. And I used to do impressions of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's why you'll see me in the sunglasses. So here's the photo of me and the crew. All right. So there it is, me and the crew. And there's me. You can see me right there with the sunglasses on, holding the broomstick right there. Okay. Westwood Village Association. There it is. There are those guys. There was a guy named Harold, I think his name was. He always used to say, "Fuck that essay." Anyway, here's another photo. All right. So there's the crew again. Westwood Village crew cleaning the sidewalks and the streets. And there's me in the sunglasses. You can see me there. That's a 16-year-old me with hair. And that building, I don't even think that building is there anymore. See, the address right here says 1127. That's Gailey Avenue in Westwood Village. Okay. I might have to do a where I grew up on Westwood Village. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. And then here's the paperwork. City of Los Angeles, the Summer Youth Employment Program. There it is. Oh man, memories. Yeah, maybe I'll do a where I grew up about Westwood Village because that had a lot of impact. And again, it was a cool job. I understand the intent, but we were cleaning an area that really didn't need cleaning. You know, so was it really meant to really straighten things out or create some impact in the areas that needed it? Or was it more about giving the kids from those areas an opportunity to work? I guess that would be the upside. I don't know what's going on with those guys. Maybe some of them actually turned out well, have good jobs. Maybe some will find this video and contact me and say what they've been doing. But we took a tour of UCLA. That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to go to UCLA, even though I didn't end up going. But I became a UCLA fan because of the work in Westwood. And yeah, maybe I'll do a where I grew up. I don't know. Maybe you can put some comments down. Let me know if you want me to do. Maybe I'll just do it anyway. I'll just do it anyway because that area does have a connection to my life, and that makes perfect sense. But I just wanted to give you a full story about what I was dealing with and how I was thinking and the impact on my life. And, you know, it's interesting because when you think about the impact, the racial undertones, you think about what's really been going on, you think about civil rights and the intent of it, you think about the historical elements, you think about everything that's been the talk. 60 years, how far have we come? There's a lot to be done. And I don't think it's going to have anything to do with economics. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with status and prestige or the ownership of land. That's a very small fraction of where the real change is going to come from. The real change is going to come from your connection to the Most High. Now, bear with me now. This is something that has not been cultivated. Now, I'm not talking about scripture. Even though I understand scripture, we're putting that to the side. I'm talking about the power that you've always had, the power that has always been there, but not entirely used, not entirely focused on. There's been a lack of concentration towards those extraordinary abilities that go above and beyond your flesh. Because at the end of the day, this is just a body that we're borrowing in order to function here on planet Earth. And this is something that really didn't get cultivated. Yeah, people are aware of it, but it didn't get harnessed. That's where the real change is going to come from. There are things that can be done that you wouldn't even believe from pure thought. This is deep, okay? You know what I'm talking about. Some of you already know. But in mass, it hasn't been cultivated. It hasn't been harnessed, you know, because it's all about validation. It's all about acceptance. It's all about being included in the schools. It's all about being able to walk through the front door of the restaurant. It's all about being able to join certain fraternities and institutions and organizations. It's all about being treated like a human being. Inclusion. But there's another element. There's another component. There's the human element, right? But then there's the divine element. Because at the end of the day, all of this stuff that we're talking about down here on earth technically doesn't really matter anyway. If you're talking on a spiritual level, it doesn't even matter. It's a human experience at the end of the day. I just so happen to be an entity wrapped in dark flesh. And I'm here on the earth, functioning as an artist, trying to create or offer insight, spark awareness, remind you of your extraordinary abilities, and sort of use my voice to inspire you to do something great. And that's why I'm here. So the Black human experience has a lot of pieces, but we're only about 60 years from civil rights. Now, if we push into the year 2042, 2052, what is that going to look like? And right now we're at a turning point, probably one of the biggest turning points in the existence within the Black human experience, because now, at least on the YouTube front, you're hearing the discussion about Africans and Black Americans, even though that's been around for years. That tug of war has been around for a very, 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 very long time, but it's getting reevaluated. You know, you got ADOS, FBA, and all these discussions about what the Black human experience actually means. Here we are again. You notice the conversation continues to go in a circle. The same talk over and over and over again. What's being discussed now was being discussed 30 years ago, was being discussed 60 years ago, further back, circle, circle, circle. And I think it won't change until we evolve to that point to where we use what our real power is. Our real power. It doesn't have anything to do with your status, ladies and gentlemen. Our real power, our birthright. An entirely different discussion. I know that might be a little heavy for you, and I understand if it's too heavy, especially for this video, because it's about the LA Riots 30th anniversary. But I just wanted to offer that because, again, I looked at this entire situation objectively. I pulled my emotions out of it and looked at it on a broad scope. I listen, I pay attention to things. Okay. Sure, I share in the experience from a physical standpoint, but pulling those emotions out of there and looking at what the possibilities are, what's not being talked about, what's not being considered, because emotions are so heavy. If I thought about all the atrocities, I would be angry every single day. And it makes sense. You could easily understand why someone would be angry every single day if they thought about what happened before constantly, right? Cause and effect. Cause and effect. But then there's the solution-based activity. Step 1, step 2, step 3, solutions. Solution-based activity that is consistent. It doesn't wane, it's consistent. Solution-based activity, the type of thing that keeps forward momentum. And that forward momentum comes not only from the actions that you take, but also from the energy that you exude. And this is what I picked up on in the 90s. I caught on early and I said, well, I'll stay ready to defend myself, but I'm not going to walk around angry. I'm not going to walk around doing this. I'm going to always hold myself accountable. I'm going to exude the energy that creates sort of peace. Malcolm X said some very important things. Martin Luther King said some important things, and many others have as well. But when you think about it, you have to sort of combine Malcolm and King together because you have to be ready to defend. But there's also the other element to put in place of using that spiritual energy and that sort of thing, and keeping your thoughts in alignment to where you can reduce the stress, reduce the conflict. You can move it. And I saw this even with my interaction with the detective and other situations of a similar, that were similar. I saw this. I saw how energy can change based on how you move. You can move things to go in a way that you wish them to go, because energy is everything. And I have an episode that talks about this. Energy is everything. Hard to digest because of the anger, because of the frustrations, because of the lack of forward movement, because of the circle of the same situations. Difficult, right? But there's a way to do it, and that's where the alignment comes in. So hopefully I gave you something that could allow for you to go into the depths of your own existence and see if you can pull that out and see if you can put that in use, because you have a power that you've always had. It's always been there. It just needs to be cultivated and harnessed and utilized. And there needs to be a trust with it. You can move things, you can heal, you can do things that you wouldn't even believe. Above and beyond your flesh, above and beyond your own comprehension. This is deep stuff. So these circular conversations, the same things, you keep hearing it over and over. These things will continue. We saw 1992, we saw the 60s, the 2020s. It's the same thing until you make that adjustment. That will be the switch. And that hasn't been done in mass. It's been done in little sprinkles here and there, but not in mass as a collective. Once it's done in mass, oh, you're going to see some brilliant things. And then the Fear of the Black Planet, which was the title of one of Public Enemy's albums, if I'm not mistaken. You're concerned about the others having that fear. You wouldn't have to worry about that, because with this extraordinary ability that I'm talking about, this will never go away.